James, thank you so much for being here. Can you just describe what you've been seeing on the ground where you are?
Yeah, an endless stream, to be honest, of strength and sorrow, Jennifer. I've literally just been at the train station now, and every single person has a story that's pretty harrowing. I spoke to a young woman who'd spent nights in a bunker, and the longer we spoke, and then she just said, "Oh, and by the way, I'm pregnant. We found out a few days before, my husband and I, a few days before the bombardment started, but now I leave him and I head off, and I hope he sees his father again." I was at a centre for autistic children and mothers who can't leave with them because these children can't endure the sounds of bombings or long queues to get out. So it's an endless stream of, as I say, stress and sadness and strength. And of course, these are the people who are leaving, not the people, Jennifer, who are still trapped in bunkers under fire, almost as you and I speak.
Right. And we were just mentioning, James, the supplies are finally getting to people like yourselves and the people that you're speaking to. How are you navigating the danger on the ground? I mean, what is that situation like?
Yeah, it's a good question. It was a great moment, hey, on Saturday for everyone, my Ukrainian colleagues and drivers and so on, to watch this convoy come in of emergency medical supplies, surgical kits, resuscitation kits, things that will now be in those makeshift bunker basement hospitals from Kyiv to Kharkiv. But it's difficult. We've heard so many talks of ceasefires, I beg your pardon, of humanitarian corridors, and they've been broken. Children have been killed when there's meant to be a moment of sanctuary for them to leave. So it's very difficult for us, but we have to find that way. It's what UNICEF is here to do, is to find ways to get through those lines of conflict. But each time they get broken and promises are broken and there is firing and mortars, and we saw children killed, makes it so much tougher for everyone on the ground.
And there are reports, I think, from UNICEF and others that a number of the refugees are children. Is that what you're seeing? And are they with their families, or are they mostly isolated?
Just extraordinary numbers of children. I mean, half. We literally now know that half. It's a number we've never seen before in the biggest refugee crisis since World War II in Europe. So 750,000 children in what, I don't know, now 10 days, Jennifer. And again, each one has a story. Some mums say their kids don't cry anymore. That's a sign of trauma. A mum just told me a few hours ago that her kids are amazing, and they give her the strength. They're the ones that keep them going, because parents are at a wit's end. But 750,000 children, more flowing across the borders as we speak. Many of them have those stories. They've lost contact with friends. They don't know where they are. They're sad. They want to be in classrooms, and there's no school now. The lessons are, this is what an air raid siren sounds like. It means quickly flee from your bed, head to a bunker.
Is there enough communication between people like yourself, between families, in order to get to safer situations? Or is that still sort of making the situation that much more complicated for you?
Yeah, that much more complicated. And one of the great fears that UNICEF works with and the problems we have, and again, this is from children being separated from Syria or Yemen to here, is children who are separated and unaccompanied. There are many problems and dangers they face. Trafficking becomes a problem. And we've seen fathers have to pass their children across the border to border guards. Now, again, this is a thing UNICEF works very closely with governments to guide governments and the municipalities about what to do. But the sheer number of children makes it extremely difficult for us to ensure safety for all those children. It was lovely hearing your report just before about those volunteers handing out SIM cards. That's brilliant. And again, the volunteer strength I see from people in Poland, where I was a few days ago, or here in Ukraine, where I've been for a week and a half, that's inspiring. There's a lot of sorrow here. There's a lot of sadness. And then there's a lot of wonderful moments of just everyday Ukrainians, grandma cooking, people handing out SIM cards, doctors working around the clock. It's quite incredible, I have to say. It's awe-inspiring.
Are you seeing the aid that countries like, I'm sitting here in New York, here in the U.S., countries around the world, are you seeing that aid actually having an effect? And what more needs to be done to help the situation from the refugee perspective?
Yes, short answer, we absolutely are. UNICEF is lucky that we have the biggest global supply hub on the planet in Europe. It's in Copenhagen. So, sort of 36 hours those trucks take, and that's just a stream now of convoys we will see for organizations like UNICEF and many others. And that's a huge difference, whether it's that surgical equipment that now doctors will have in those hospitals, or whether it's early childhood development kits or recreation kits for kids, because goodness me, they need a break. Those things are essential, and any generosity for people, that's where it goes. And generosity from people is extraordinary. But this is also, of course, as you're alluding to, Jennifer, the moment that governments and corporations need to step up and support any organization who's on the ground here.
James, finally, how long do you plan to stay there? I mean, no one really knows where this is going. It's changing by the day, by the hour. Do you plan to stay throughout this whole entire crisis?
You mean me?
Yeah,
or UNICEF?
You. And UNICEF.
I feel, UNICEF will be here for the long. We will not be leaving. We were here. We've been here for 8 years through the conflict. We won't be going anywhere. We hope that we will be dealing with post-conflict very, very quickly. There's a lot of trauma that gets worse and worse. The longer the fighting, the missiles continue, the harder it is to deal with that. We're not going anywhere, Jennifer. I feel ethically bound to stay here. My wife just flew to Australia, and we live near to here, and I have a child home alone, so I have issues to deal with. But my family's a good support base. So for now, I'm staying here.